would have been. I like you. What do you think?
Speaking Spanish. When I do it, you call me a racist. And who was right? Goddamn right. Hey, everybody out there in podcast land. This is LTG coming at you with Rod sitting in the co-host chair.
Yes, sir.
We have a special guest today, Rod.
Yeah, we have a special guest today. His name is Josh. He's my friend, childhood friend.
What's up, guys?
It's kind of weird, but we still invite him.
Hey, that's all right. Hey.
It's fine. I mean, we got rid of the herpes now.
Can't be worse than Braden or Zeke. I mean, I'm telling you. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out.
To be fair, I got the herpes from you.
And you in turn must have gotten it from Zeke.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm pretty sure Braden was somewhere in that mix.
Makes sense.
Probably was.
Yeah.
So go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody watching us right now.
So guys, I'm Josh, 22.
Single.
Not really.
Ready to mingle. No, he's not single.
No.
Not really.
His girlfriend will hit him in the house later.
Exactly.
How the fuck are you saying you're single?
No, I didn't say anything. That was all him. Understand that.
He's single, ready to mingle.
No, I'm not.
Bullshit.
I don't even know how to mingle.
All right, proceed.
All right, what do you got for us today?
So we're going to be talking about the Vario case. I'm pretty sure a lot of our older generation, maybe my age, might know about it. It's a lot on History Channel, and, you might have heard about it in school. But it's DB Cooper, or Dan Cooper, better known as, but DB just stuck by alpha and error, which a lot of people don't know, which is actually pretty cool. It was a media error. But, there was some new information released on this other documentary I watched, and I followed some leads on the internet, and I just thought this would be really interesting to bring to the podcast today.
So go ahead and give kind of everybody a little bit of background, because, DB Cooper, I'm an old dude, right? Yeah. DB Cooper was my time. And I obviously know about DB Cooper, but give a little bit of detail as to the background of DB Cooper. I mean, obviously go into more detail. Obviously, he robbed a bank, hijacked an airplane, jumped out the airplane, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, give some background so that everybody understands who exactly DB Cooper was. And
all right. Well, to kind of understand who he was, we got to kind of understand the era we were in. We were in 1971. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's like 1971. So it's like flight attendants and all like that. Women didn't still have that like rights going for them fully yet. Like they still had that sexualization going on. Mm-hmm. So it's like every female was kind of just sexualized. Mm-hmm. And so in 1971, right before like the aviation boom basically took off, when just international flight was everywhere. Mm-hmm. Flight attendants were basically the new supermodels, because you're on a plane, you see this pretty lady walking down, they gotta look presentable and nice, and so.
And back in the day, they were stewardess.
Yeah.
Not a flight attendant; it was a stewardess.
Right.
But not anymore, right? Things change. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but so like back then, you just got to keep that in mind, because it does play into the story here. That basically that the women there were just basically flirted with a lot of the time. They weren't really respected a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And we also got to realize that at that time there wasn't really much airport security as well. So it was like you could go up, buy any kind of plane ticket to wherever, and nobody would really ask you a question. Yep. But don't even get me started on bag checks. The cops. I was watching some videos on. I guess you would say the terminals there in like the 70s, like to closer 80s, when the airport security starting to tighten up, and you would see the progression of like how security gotten tighter around all that. But yeah, so it was just like no airport security. Women didn't really like have too much going for them, and so it's like that's kind of the setting we're in right now, and when we're talking in like the early 70s. Yep. And so basically what happened was this gentleman went and bought a ticket on Southwest Airlines for flight 305 to go to Portland, Oregon from Seattle. And it was only supposed to be a 30-minute flight. And it ended up not being anywhere close to that. So Dan Cooper or we'll just say John Doe, because nobody technically knows this guy's name.
Just refer to him as DB Cooper so that everybody
Right.
stays on the same page.
So DB goes up to Southwest Airlines ticket counter to purchase a ticket. He buys one for $20 back then. $20 gets you from Portland, Oregon.
God damn,
$20 won't even halfway fill up my tank of gas anymore.
Not even that. Like, I wish tickets were that cheap.
That's not even a full bottle of Jack.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
I
Anyway,
wish
go
tickets
ahead.
were that cheap.
And so when you went up, bought the ticket and all that, he put the name down, Dan Cooper. So it was like that was the start of his name. That's where the name really came in. Other than that, there was no other like names given, because like back then, 1970s, no airport security. You didn't have
to show your ID.
You didn't have to identify
exactly.
yourself. It was so cool. Like, imagine just being like a 15-year-old kid and just being like, man, I don't want to tell my parents I'm going to like Hawaii today with my friends. And like, nobody
I got the money to fly. I can pay the ticket. I'm out.
$20. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, and so goes up, pays $20. Then it ends up coming up to like 23 something after taxes, and ends up paying all of it. Gets on the plane, and one of the policies back then, because it took a little bit longer for planes to take off, because it was just a slower process. It was all done by like log books and stuff. So it was like it took longer for one log book to reach another.
Yeah, we didn't have computers back in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so one of their policies to, I guess, customer service was, while they're waiting to take off, everyone is asked if they like something before takeoff. And usually it was like the smaller beverages, but mainly alcohol, basically. And well, that's when everyone starts sitting down, and there's two stewardess flight attendants walking from opposite sides of the planes towards the center to better get to people and get their orders and whatnot. And well, the one that encountered DB Cooper was staring from the back of the plane where he was sitting on. But again, this is back in the 1970s, so not everything was so organized. Not everybody entered through the airport terminal. They used to fill up the planes weird. One side would fill up with the actual terminal, and like if there was extras in the back or like to hurry and fill it up, they would lower the back staircase and have passengers come up
the back staircase. Yep.
Yeah. And so he was one of the first ones on, is what I've read. And that when a lot of the more people started coming on, nobody really noticed him until like almost takeoff, when he started passing that note to the stewardess. And this is the part where I was saying that it was important keeping in your mind that stewardess back then were basically sexualized, and they weren't respected very much. Because he had handed her a note, and that was probably like the 10th note she got that day, and she just kind of pocketed it. And so he was just like, I handed you that so you could read it. I didn't hand you it so you can kind of just discard me. And so she picks it up. Sure enough, it reads, I have a bomb. I want you to sit next to me. And so she's very panicked, and she sits down. And so when that's going on, and she basically asks to see the bomb, she sees like six sticks of dynamite and a big old battery, and he's just explaining to her, I just got to connect these two wires and and we'll all be gone. And like that was basically like what he was saying to her right there, until the other stewardess was actually approaching and like noticed that the other flight attendant was sitting next to DB. And at that point, she had already dropped the note on the floor, and the stewardess that was sitting next to DB was signaling the other to pick it up. And so she picked it up and went, and because you know how they have cell phones that lead to the cockpit all over the plane.
Yeah, phones that lead to the cockpit. Yep.
Yeah. And so she picked it up after she read it, and DB kind of gave her the glance. So it was like, all right, she's relaying the orders too, and she's here with me. Like, it was kind of a calm situation. That was the crazy part about this whole thing, is the entire time when he first got on, before he even, I forgot about that. He ordered a single glass of just bourbon. And back then, again, 1970s, he was chain smoking on a plane, dude. He was like just chain smoking. I think they recovered like 7 or 8 cigarette butts on a 30-minute flight. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, he's throwing them down. He's a little nervous about something.
Yeah. And so back to where I was at. So the stewardess signals the other to look at the note, and she starts relaying it back to captain and whatnot. And they get in contact with the flight control, all that, air control. And they start relaying it to FBI local authorities. And then Southwest actually agreed to comply with the ransom. And so that's where they all started getting it ready. So basically, when they were taking off and all that, and they were relaying the information, he was relaying to them that he wanted $200,000 in $20 bills, and he asked for a parachute, but they had brought him one, and basically, I guess he thought they had tampered with it. And then he also realized it was a military issue parachute, so it doesn't have the manual pull cord.
Right.
It'll pull it for you once you get a certain distance because there's a tether connected to the plane that pulls it for you.
Yeah, it's for the static line jumpers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Apparently, it had one of those or something like that. And so, or at least that's what I read a lot about.
So before they took off, DB was making these demands?
No, right as they took off, he was making these demands.
So how did they get him parachutes in midair?
They didn't. They had the one that was, they had a parachute that was from the captain's cockpit, and that was a military issued one. But then that's when he had said, I'm getting to that part. Give me 1 second.
All right,
They're almost at their altitude that they need to be at, and he's making these demands. And then they bring him the one parachute and then realizes that the money is not on the plane and that they're going to have to stop at another airport anyways to get that money. And so basically there was kind of a shift in a plan from my understanding on what I've read. That it was pretty smoothly on how he carried it out because of how he kind of held himself as well, I guess you would say. But that there was just a little like friction, but that he like adapted to it very well, and he just kept his cool the entire time. And so right when it took off, demands are made and all that, and so they start rounding up all the money so that way by the time they get to the next airport in Oregon, everything's already all set up. And sure enough, they're already almost to Oregon. Well, on their way to Oregon, the captain starts relaying false information to the passengers. Doesn't even tell them what's going on. Starts telling them that there's a little bit of mechanical issues on the plane and that they need to just burn some fuel. So they stayed circling the Oregon airport for about 2 hours. So from a 30-minute flight to 2 hours just circling around an airport until they had everything ready on the ground. And so for about 2 hours, nobody knew anything. Everybody was sitting up front. It was just nonchalant. And so by the time everyone landed, there was news reporters and all that waiting. And obviously I see a plane land. It's pretty interesting, actually. And sure enough, the $200,000 in 20s go up to the plane. So do the 4 parachutes because he ended up demanding 4 civilian-issued parachutes. I guess he was trying to do that to intimidate, to kind of be like, I might take somebody else and make sure these parachutes work.
Sure.
Or we're going to splat.
Yeah.
And that'd be bad news for everybody. And so when the $200,000 and the 4 parachutes got on board, he allowed all the civilians to basically get off the plane. But the 2 stewardess and the 2 captains stayed on. And they refilled the plane. And then DB Cooper has a suggestion. Or I guess you say a statement. He's like, we're flying to Mexico City. And so they're like, well, we're going to need to refuel a few times and we're going to be flying that far. And from my understanding at that point, he just kind of like shrugged it off and kind of walked to the back. And I'm guessing that's where he kind of got his idea, like, I might need to do this a little sooner. But he was just so cool about it. That's the part I still can't get over. It's just like, how can you be so calm in a situation like this?
Wow, because he had it all planned out, man. He knew what he was doing.
Well, yeah, but then like you ever have a plan and just stuff goes wrong left and right and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like what am I going to do here?
You gotta keep your fucking
cool.
head, dude. You're talking about somebody who's been on SWAT and had shit, fucking people shooting at me and shit. And so, yeah, your first plan, that's the thing. That's how it goes. Every plan, hey, it works until first contact. And then that plan goes to shit. And then you have to fucking adapt, overcome, and make it happen. Yeah. And so so I understand, like, I could see him doing this and having a plan and, okay, if things don't go exactly as planned, okay, cool, I'm going to pivot, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. Like, I see that and I say, yeah, it's a guy that actually has something planned out. I don't look at it and go, oh man, that's superhuman. Like, oh, this guy was absolute brilliant. No, I'm a dumb guy. And when we did SWAT operations and rounds started coming in and didn't go as we planned, Brad and I pivot and did something different.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if I'm a dumb enough guy to be able to do that, then this guy who is robbing banks and shit, fucking DB Cooper, he could fucking, think on his toes and get to where he needs to go. So anyway, it's not hugely surprising to me because there are plenty of people out there where, stuff like that just doesn't super affect you. You adapt to it and you overcome. And so anyway, that's just my point of view on it. So, but continue to where we are now.
Right. Basically, they start heading for Mexico City, and he had told the stewardess to go wait up front with the captains as well. And basically, he was also telling them that they had to fly at minimal altitude and minimal speed. Minimal speed is about 150, and is a jet. That's pretty slow for a jet.
Oh yeah.
But basically, the captains and DB were arguing on the flight, like as he was trying to go to the back. It's like, this guy's a bomb. You're trying to argue with him about how to fly the plane? Like, really, dude? Like, but anyways,
yeah. But you look at it from a pilot's perspective. If you can't maintain control and absolute 100%, you have control of that vehicle at 150 miles an hour, then there's no way you're going to slow down to 150 miles an hour as a pilot. You're going to look at him and go, dude, I can't do that. This plane, if it goes slower than that, we're going to start to stall. We're going to start to, the nose is going to drop. But the whole reason DB was doing it is because if you get over 200 miles an hour, or at least close to that, and you try to skydive from that, you'll get pretty much torn apart in the slipstream and just the air. So that's the reason he was having them slow down. But anyway, proceed.
Really, that's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I told you he'd come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know I'm not a fucking dumb guy.
No, it's
I'm pretty dumb.
It's because early this morning he was telling me about it, right? As we were eating breakfast, and he was just chewing my ear out with this shit. So I was like, okay. I was like, well, don't tell me everything. Just wait until we get there, because LT is gonna have some interesting points to this. So I was like, he'll come up with something. You'll see, and that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
I guess the more interesting part of this story is the investigation, not the actual, like, what happened inside, I guess.
Well, but let's at least finish and then get to the investigation. So then what ended up happening on the plane, he's arguing with the pilots, hey, you got to keep it 150 because DB knows in his mind, I'm jumping out the fucking back of this thing.
Right.
They're thinking, oh, he just wants to slow down just so we don't get there fast enough, probably. Yeah. I mean, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And then where does it go from there?
So basically, it ends up with him telling them, I'm not arguing with you guys. And he kind of like flashed the suitcase. And so indication, like, I can just blow this up.
I'll just blow you up.
And so one thing lets you know they did it. And so he had the stewardess and the stay up there with the captains, and pretty much they knew they kind of had a sense that he left the plane when they felt like the atmosphere pressure change. When you open that back hatch, like I was telling you, he entered it. Yep. So whenever that happened,
but wait, did he actually use that parachute or did he use another one?
From my understanding, they can't even find the parachute he used, so I don't even know.
So you're not sure whether he used a military parachute or
he used a civilian. But
but when did he get it though?
When they had landed, they
did land.
Yeah, they landed and they gave him the three. Okay. What was it? 3 or 4 additional parachutes, I believe.
3 parachutes.
4.
Yeah, the 4 additional, and he had the one from the cockpit, which was the military style. That was the static.
Yeah.
One.
Right.
So
yeah.
Anyways, keep going.
So basically, right before he jumps out, he you know what a clip-on tie is.
Yeah.
He has a clip-on tie, rips it off, throws it. Super dramatic, super cool guy moment. Just imagine right before you jump on a plane, just let's do this. And
then out he goes.
Yeah.
Did anybody see him jump?
No. See, that's the interesting part too. There, apparently, FBI was in contact. Was contacting U.S. Army or Coast Guard, something like that. Some sort of military branch is what I've read, and had 2 F-106 fighter jets escort the plane until they could get the situation under control. And they had him positioned on above the aircraft and below, so that way he wouldn't be able to see that they were being basically escorted.
Right.
And the interesting part about that, the report that came back from the F-106 fighter jets is they didn't see anybody jump out.
Well, okay, I don't find that too crazy because now if you think about this, most likely you have the aircraft itself flying. If you are trying to remain undetected as a pilot and you're above and below, you're going to stay forward of that tailgate area. Because if that tailgate area or anybody looks out back, if you're back anyway at all, they're going to see you and see that you're being escorted. But if those are above and below, now all of a sudden the ramp lowers at the back and I jump out, there's not going to be a single thing that either one of those pilots saw because it's out of the back of the plane.
Yeah.
He lowers that back staircase, steps out and dives. They're not going to see that. He's not going to get picked up on radar.
Right.
I mean, he's so minuscule as opposed to an aircraft or something else. He's not going to get picked up on radar. Right. It's not like the guy on the bottom is going to all of a sudden see a blip, blip, blip. Oh shit, he jumped out and, and he's going to pan around and come back. It's not going to happen. So
ninja fruit him.
Yeah. So I look at that and I go, and I say, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they were flying where they were supposed to be. They were escorting them the way they were supposed to. But if a human comes out the back staircase. Now, the back staircase, we're talking about the tail of a plane and the back of it opens up and out you go. Right. Now, dude, he's already jumping and falling as they're, travel 150 miles an hour. Like we said, they're already, and that's what, approximately 1.5, 1.7 feet per second. So they're like
scooting,
dude. They're like 250 feet per second hauling ass that way, and you jump out this way. Yeah, even though, as you're falling this way, but he still jumps out. They're still 200 feet per second ahead of you.
I guess you're falling. I did leave out a detail from a lot of the same two reports that I keep looking at both of them and referring them to each other kind of style. And there's one thing that they had in common is that the weather, it was very rainy and windy and very cloudy. And so I guess like that also probably play a very big part in maybe staying undetected. But like you said, like it's from behind the plane, so they probably wouldn't even be able to see them.
Yeah, you
even
wouldn't
if it was broad daylight.
Yeah.
But even then, the technology back then wasn't that great either.
1970
wasn't the best.
I mean,
71 for crying out loud.
So they're still wondering how the fuck did he escape. Well, I mean, your technology back then wasn't the greatest.
Do we know what altitude they were traveling at the whole time?
I can't pull it off the top of my head. I was trying to remember it.
It's got to be less than like 20,000.
Yeah.
It has to be because I've skydived and we were at 9,000 and it was a solo jump. Yeah. I've done it quite a few times.
But like I said,
and it was less than 9,000. It was at 9,000 and lower. Any higher you start getting than that, then obviously, I mean, I shouldn't say any higher because there's a certain level you get to, then obviously you have to pre-breathe with your oxygen, and that's the whole Navy SEAL and everybody else that goes and does high altitude, low opening, or high altitude, high opening, halo or hey-ho. They go and they do that, but there's that kind of little bit of middle area. So I guarantee that's one of the things he was bitching with the pilots about. I need you to keep at this elevation or this altitude, and I need you to keep at this speed because he knew he could survive that jump. Now, the other thing you take into account too, like I said, where you're saying the pilots in the fighter jets didn't see him. Well, if he jumped out and he was in a civilian model parachute, he's going to free fall. Let's say they're at 9,000 feet, 10,000 feet.
10,000.
10,000?
10,000.
Let's say they're at 10,000. That's about where I jumped from. You have about a 20 to 30 second free fall before you could pull that ripcord. Now, think about that. 20 to 30 seconds, right?
It's like
you're traveling you're traveling 150 miles an hour. It's about 1.5 feet per second. So it's close to 300 feet per second, 250 right around there. 200 feet per second, right? You free fall for 30 of those seconds without them even seeing a parachute.
Yeah.
You multiply 30 times the 250.
And then on top of that, you got to think
they're a mile away before he even pulls his fucking ripcord.
He was smart. He really planned it out. He must have been really, really smart to plan that out. I mean,
I'm just saying. I look at that.
I mean, because if it was me, I mean, as soon as I jump out, I'm fucking opening that parachute, so they're gonna see me. So.
Yeah, but once again, I mean, he clearly knew what the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
10,000 feet. Slow down to 150. know I don't want to take the military parachute.
And civilian parachute.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't want the military one.
Yeah, I didn't want the military because he knew that that's a static line opener. You got to clip into the static line when you jump out, and then it pulls it itself. But I haven't seen a fucking static line on a commercial air flight, and I've flown hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Right? So I look at that, and I was like, man, the guy thought it out, and he planned it out. So where do we go from here? So he jumps out. He's not caught. What did this special say about where they think he is or what happened?
So from my understanding, there's this actual Army guy, and I found all these documents how D.B. Cooper, well, I'm gonna show you who the guy is first. That's who he is. Apparently, he was in the Army with them. They were in the same battalion, or in the same company. I'm sorry.
So he was in the same company as D.B. Cooper?
Yeah. So they were actually,
what's D.B. Cooper's real name then, if he knows who he is?
Well, that's kind of the tricky part that I'm trying to like work my way into, because it's like, you know about the D.B. Cooper effect, where you try looking into it and then something comes up and just slaps you in the face and tell you that it's wrong, basically. But
all right, now hold on, brother. Now you're getting into conspiracy theory bullshit.
No.
But my point being with that, look, here's the thing. You're new to the show. You're coming on here. If you thoroughly believe something, I want you to stick to your guns. No matter if I don't agree with it or not, I want you to stick to your guns if you truly believe in it. Rod and I got in it yesterday. We got in it yesterday, and it was good because it was that healthy dialogue, and that's where this comes in. Is we're talking about this. If there's something you truly believe, I don't give a shit. Yeah, sure, it's my show and Rod's show, and when we're on here kind of running the narrative, but at the same time, if I say something you don't agree with,
right,
then man, let's fucking strap on the gloves and let's get down to it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so go.
So basically, from my understanding, from what I've read on this, was he was in Vietnam, and basically there was some, I guess, like black ops operations going on or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And from my understanding, this guy named Robert, I forgot his last, Rackstraw, something like that. I forgot how to pronounce it. So Robert Rackstraw. So at first they thought it was a guy named Dick Riggs, because he was also in that same battalion with said personnel that I showed you a picture of.
Right.
And they were best friends for a long time. But in the Army and all that, you create lots of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was him because of they would hang out a lot outside of work, and he would always just be in, because he was actually an aviation pilot.
Okay.
And he was just always like, man, I wish I could just tell everybody here like who I really was, that I was D.B. Cooper and all that. And so him telling his friend is like, help me sell my story. He's just like, it's been like 10 years. Like, I doubt anything's going to happen.
Wait, so when he's talking to this guy that you're talking about, this is after the whole D.B. Cooper incident went down.
Yeah.
So then they're postulating, according to this, D.B. Cooper survived that jump.
Yeah.
He absconded with the money, and then he went back to a buddy that he knew from the Army.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically when he jumped out of a plane, like, they couldn't find the parachute. They've only found those $5,000 that family found.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of where I'm connecting these stories, because this Dick Riggs guy, when he was saying that, they were all at a party with said family. With that family was there at that party that found that money.
Found the $5,000.
Yeah, and he told his friend, like, he's just like, how do I even know you're D.B. Cooper? He's like, we work for the Army, for crying out loud.
Wait a minute. So D.B. Cooper shows up to this party where the family that got the $5,000 was?
Yeah, but apparently he showed up to that party before they found it. Before
they found the $5,000.
Yeah, and so when his buddy was asking DB, like, how do I know you're really DB Cooper? He's just like, that family right there is going to find the money. And he's like, what? Sure enough, I think it was like a few days later on the news, and they announce it, and this family finds the money and all that. But somehow, mysteriously, he then dies in, like, I think it was like 1980 in a one-car crash accident in Oregon. But
all right, I was a state trooper. I'm going to tell you, one car crash fatalities. It's pretty common. Shit happens all the time. I'll be perfectly honest with, especially in the 70s with no seatbelts. So why does that raise suspicion?
Well, because like, I just feel like it raised suspicion for me because like if somebody was trying to silence him, but then again, it's like why would they silence him?
But why would they be silencing him if he just stole money and got away?
I don't even.
He doesn't have any military secrets.
Yeah,
he just fucking stole money and he burned them.
Right. Well,
so why are you gonna kill him?
I think he was just trying to play the role of DB Cooper. I never thought he was really actually DB Cooper, to be honest with you.
But what was his point then?
To get the fame, because he was trying to sell his story, because soon after he died, his buddy then took the story and started telling everybody he was DB Cooper. And then FBI investigated him with him having military background experience, being close to aviation, him, DB Cooper jumping.
Right.
So they're going to be like, we got to check you out now. And I guess basically it went like this. They were just like, if you are DB Cooper, charges can still be filed. And he's just like, all right, I'm just playing. You guys, like, I'm not DB Cooper.
Right.
He's just like, yeah, no. He's just like, if anybody, it would have been my buddy and he's dead,
And he's dead anyway.
Yeah.
So is it confirmed that this dude that supposedly was this guy's friend is DB Cooper then?
No. And nobody has ever
Nobody knows, right? Kind of my point.
Yeah. Nobody knows. But it ends up going back down to this this same military guy. He ends up getting back up on it because I guess he just wasn't satisfied with what he got out of it, and he made an embarrassment out of himself. Mm-hmm. And so,
is it because he didn't catch DB Cooper, or because
I think it was because of the embarrassment?
But having to do with what? What was his embarrassment? Because he knew DB Cooper?
No, because of his friend trying to convince everyone trying to say like, oh yeah, I'm DB Cooper, yeah.
Okay.
And then basically
I see what you're
doing
saying.
All the research behind it, and they prove them all wrong.
Okay, now I see what you're saying. Okay, I thought you were talking about who we think is the real DB Cooper, and he's trying to. Okay.
No, they haven't even looked at that guy at this point yet.
Okay, got it.
And so that's when they start looking at other people. For clues,
because they're saying the shit we're hearing is not adding up.
No,
it doesn't make sense that this guy that we think is DB Cooper did this, and this. That's why they are looking into something different to find out who actually is DB Cooper. Right.
Okay. And so, what I was reading is they took a new approach to figure out who it was. Like, they were just looking at all kinds of different stuff, and one of the ways where they started is the DB Cooper files. They didn't look at the investigation. They started going through the files. And you know code. A equals 1, B equals 2.
Well, it depends on what code you're using, but
yeah,
sure.
But like that was the code that was being used then.
Okay.
And so he was then DB at the time, the actual whoever it was basically sending documents to these courts, basically also trying to like talk, saying like, I'm traveling, or like I'm out here, I'm out there. But there were so many notes, nobody even knows if it really was from real DB Cooper, or it could have just been some 10-year-old kid playing a joke.
Sure.
And so
this is after he escaped off the plane, of course.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Because there are some that believe that he fucking died.
Yeah. I highly doubt that personally.
And there's the thing. So there's where I look at it and I say, I don't think he passed away.
No.
I think he got out of that plane because he was smart enough to know less than 10,000 feet, less than 150 miles an hour. He was smart enough to know that.
Yeah.
And if he jumps, dude, look, I'm an idiot. And I've been skydiving maybe 3 times, like solo skydiving. And if you put me in that situation, less than 500 or less than 10,000 feet and 150 miles an hour, my dumb ass could survive that.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm saying I've jumped 3 times now. If this is a guy that's supposedly jump qualified at some point in the military, yeah, those are typically static line jumps, but he understands the basic idea behind pulling a ripcord, how it's going to happen, what's going to happen, your body positioning. He understands all that stuff. So I see him jump from that and I say, that's a very livable situation.
Right.
My fat old ass could live through that situation.
You're not fat.
Well, but I am. You've seen pictures, bro. You've seen pictures. He
was pretty ripped before.
Yeah. So I look at that and I go, and I say, yeah, I 100% believe that was a survivable incident, and I believe he survived it. I really do.
Now,
so now, yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Now, tell them what they found on the tie. The materials that were found on the tie.
They found some rare materials that you would only necessarily find in like industrial like plants, like industrial power plants, almost like oil refineries and just stuff like that. Or the only other place you would find the material that was singularly on his tie would have been. I like the way you think. But
I'm okay. I don't want any more.
Come on.
Oh, come
No,
on,
I'm okay.
Man, come on.
I'm okay. You guys do that.
Aw, cositas.
God damn it.
Oh, dude, is he speaking Spanish to you? Is he speaking Spanish? When I do it, when I do it, you call me a racist.
So we have a thing here where when LT starts speaking Spanish to me, I'm like, oh, here you go, racist white motherfucker.
But I'm trying to do better. See, I'm trying to learn.
know you are. I know you are. It's good.
Like, see, I don't even know what you would call Jack Daniels. I would say Jack Daniels.
No, Jack Daniels.
Just Jack Daniels,
Jack
right?
Daniels. I mean, there's no.
But if you
say Yak Daniels.
Jack Daniels, that's right. But if you know him as well as I do, you just call him John.
John.
All right, folks.
Cheers.
Dear God. Proceed.
God damn.
Proceed.
Weak.
Proceed.
So those material that they found.
Dude, I'm an old man. And he's calling weak, and I'm like, yeah, I'm weak as fuck right now.
Yeah. How long do we have on this episode?
I'm about to puke into that trash can again like I did yesterday after work.
How long do we have on this episode?
We're actually getting, I would imagine we're getting close.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close.
This is a good one. All right,
That's all right. I'll be quick.
Finish.
So on that tie, they basically end up finding some materials that could only be found in like these industrial places, like a said power plant, anything of that sort. Basically, it was a rare metal. But there was one other place you could find that, and that was basically a an aircraft manufacturer, Boeing. And Boeing was, I believe, is close by to that area. I'm not sure where their headquarters is. I should have looked that up. That would have been great to know.
It's all right. It's probably Northern California, Southern Oregon area, to be honest with you.
Well, because I was thinking about that too. He could be. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that he could have worked at Boeing, but then again, 1970s clip-on tie. It's packed in an airport. You know, it's a clip-on. Somebody could come up and just yank it and be like, "It's my tie now. Bye." Yeah. It's so crowded. You're gonna chase me. You know, like. There, you know, I just see it highly impossible that he could necessarily be a Boeing's employee. There's just one possible lead that I back. Again, this is more of the conspiracy theory type of thing, but it goes back to that files and basically.
Which files?
The FBI classified files. Basically, they're classified after a certain amount of years, and it's already been released.
Yep, they've been released now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's still kind of iffy paperwork because more than half of it's been whited out.
It's redacted.
Yeah. And so
got to redact a lot of the information just because it's relayed to the public doesn't mean that it's information that the public needs to know about. If there are private names or there are private things that they think might affect it, then they do what's known as redact it, whether they back in the day white it out or now it's just this black line through anything that you want to read. So yeah, they redact it. So go ahead. Sorry.
Right. No, you're good. But basically, I think it's that Robert Rackstraw guy because leading back to him, he was basically from Canada, moved to the U.S. because he was working for the CIA under contract because he was an aviation pilot. And from my understanding, from what I've read on there, is that's why they would. So
that's who they're thinking D.B. Cooper really is?
Yeah, and they've tried to confront him while he was still alive because he's dead now, unfortunately. He passed in 2019, I think the report
The guy you showed me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He passed away in 2019.
Makes sense.
But they kept going on and going on, trying to get him to crack. And the most they ever got out of him was, I think it was a week and a half before he died. He just said, "Maybe I was, dude." And I was just like, "What does it matter to you?" That's all he had said. And because they were at his like kind of like boatyard kind of thing. He was out in San Diego. And they kept like basically harassing the guy. Like there's a certain point where it's investigative to harassment. And I feel like they were just on him on a daily basis where it was like, dude. Like,
well, all right, hold on. Let me give my 2 cents from the law enforcement perspective.
Do it.
So if you have viable leads and all those leads are exhausted and you're actually trying to figure something out, I look at something as old as 71 where God, I'm going to take a lot of shit for what I'm about to say, but I look at it as a quote unquote victimless crime, right? Because he got money. Yeah, granted, he victimized people because the flight attendants, they thought they were going to die. The pilots thought they were going to die, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't go out and murder anybody.
No.
He didn't kill anybody.
Like, to be honest,
he basically stole money and jumped out of a fucking plane.
Yeah.
That's what he did. Yeah, and that's 71. That's over 50 years ago.
He never touched anyone. He never killed anyone.
I was born in 71, right? So I'm 50, and DB Cooper is obviously, I know, right?
Damn.
I don't have a problem with that. I know I'm fucking old.
We never say that to LT. We always make him think he's younger than he is.
Nah, dude. I know I'm on the back hill slide. I know I am.
He's got one foot in the hole already.
My best fucking years are behind me. I know that. I'm not dumb. They're all behind me, man.
Here we are, 11 a.m. taking shots.
I know, right? So it's like, yeah, things are good. But my point to that is, fuck, I forgot my point. You got me off on the wrong fucking.
He started it. See, that's why we shouldn't take shots when we record.
It has nothing to do with the shots.
No, you were saying about how the investigative, like, non-victimless crime get away with all the money.
So there's the thing. So you have a basically. Like I said, I know I'm going to catch shit for this. You have basically what amounts to a victimless crime because they gave him the money, right? He didn't kill anybody. Yes, he scared some people. He jumped out of the plane. Now, that does not by any means, shape, or form excuse what he did.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just saying that as recently as how long ago was this that they were interviewing this guy?
Rackstraw? I believe it was like 2015. No, he died in 19. So I would assume it'd be like 15 to 18.
2015, right? So why the shit would you care 40 years later?
Yeah, that's kind of like where I kind of see it as not necessarily harassing. Like I see it as like, okay, you're trying to find some answers, but it's like the consistency of how they were like
other than if you want some kind of closure. Yeah. But me personally, I don't care really. I mean, I'm thinking in my head, statutes of limitations. And I'm thinking, I guess he had kidnapping. He probably had, he probably had terroristic threats. He probably had, God, there's got to be a lot of other federal crimes that would fall under that in 71. So I look at those and I say, okay, maybe you look at all of those, but the thing you have to prove with things is intent. Do I personally or any of you really think that DB Cooper intended to blow up that plane?
No.
There's no intent.
No.
So if there's no intent, then it's a fake and kind of overt threat.
Which is still arrestable.
Sure, you could still arrest somebody for it. I'm not disagreeing with that. But the fact I say is that now 45 years later, when he's laying on his deathbed in a fucking, a houseboat somewhere, and they're fucking with him over and over. The only reason I can see that you do that is so that you get closure to the case, not so that you prosecute this dude that's 70-something years old.
Yeah.
You just want an answer. Like, I would just want an answer. Go, bro, just tell me.
Right? Like, that's all I
want.
want to know.
I don't give a shit either way. Was it you? And he's like, yeah, it was me. I did it. This is how I did it. I'm like, fucking right on.
Right.
At least I can put in my report.
Right. Like,
talk to him. It's done. It's over. He's on his deathbed. I find no reason to arrest this guy and incarcerate him because he's dead anyway.
Right. He's kind of almost like an American legend because, even though there was no political statement behind it, with which most hijackings do have a political statement behind it, I feel like it was kind of like, I guess you could kind of say, like just that little like vigilante kind of thing, where it's like screw the government. You know? Like, he sticking it to the man.
And I don't, like I said, I don't know, man. I have to watch this documentary myself just to see, because
it's on Netflix.
I believe it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I saw it last night, and I literally was going to watch it. So this blows me away that you're talking about it today, because I looked at it and I was like, maybe, and then I went, no, I want to watch Chris Pratt in the Terminal List again.
I don't know. I was watching Dumb and Dumber last night.
Ah, well, you gotta love Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
So you're saying I have a chance?
when the cop pulls him over. Oh, so you were drinking, huh? He's like, give me that.
He does that whole thing.
Go.
Yep. Pissing in the bottles.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I know, bro.
He's like, give me another bottle. Give me another bottle. Hurry.
Yep.
I'm
I
gonna
know.
cut to this last part real quick. So
No,
we
yeah.
can
Let's
wrap
get
it
on
up.
with this. Go.
So basically, they end up trying to link it to him, but once he passes, they then try to go a different route about trying to figure out who it is once again.
To somebody else besides
Of
him.
course.
Well, no, this time they're not even looking at anyone with interest. This time it was a whole different lead, and by a whole different lead, it was a comic book called Dan Cooper from
What?
Canada.
Yeah, show the photo.
Really?
Yeah, it was popular in Canada and in France.
What was the year?
We'll see that right now.
He's like, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it's okay because I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of. I know we're talking about a lot of stuff and a lot of
Yeah.
dates here.
I mean, it's pretty interesting how he just memorized it all.
No, I think it's really cool because one of my, one
Yeah.
of my pet peeves is everybody
was-
always looking at their phone through
Yeah.
their. Go ahead.
So it was in 1954. It was released November 25th.
Show him the photo.
Yeah. So
Don't show him your nudes. Show him the photo, nothing.
well, you can't have fun and safe at the same place.
Wait a minute. So are they saying that this is where DB Cooper got his idea?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they're saying that it basically is like where he got his like game plan and stuff like that. But they're
Interesting.
thinking that maybe he followed this comic book since he was a kid and kind of wanted to be an aviation pilot for those reasons, and kind of eventually got a contract with CIA and was just like, I'm gonna be a badass.
Interesting.
Finally got all that
That's very
experience
interesting.
and read all those comics. He can conquer the world.
Just on a side note, I have that.
Oh, that is so dope.
You gotta bring it over.
I have a 9.8. This is a 9.9,
What?
and they want $32,500. Mine's a 9.8.
You gotta bring it over so we can see it.
I lent you my phone so you look at the DB Cooper comics and you start looking at other comics.
Dude,
on my
it was
phone.
right there.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
whatever,
bro. I'm
whatever.
sorry.
That's what he
Look,
does.
I'm
You
a
give him the
comic
phone.
fan.
He starts looking at stuff on your phone. Just why do you got a picture of this?
I'm a comic fan, dude.
Yeah, he is. He's got a shit ton of comics.
Anything that we look at, I try to. No, seriously, dude. Like comics, seriously. Like,
Playboy.
man. I'm talking like old
I'm
school.
into comics too.
Old school.
Yeah, me too.
Old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
Old
yeah, no,
school
no.
Those
Wolverine.
are pretty dope. Those
No,
are
he
pretty
for
yeah.
real has a bunch of comics, and he told us about it
Yeah.
when Zeke was still here.
Yeah.
Got
Before
my
we-
old school Punisher. Remember when Zeke tried to go toe to toe with me and tell me that Dolph Lundgren wasn't the original
Hey,
Punisher?
he's watching us right now. I'm
Remember
sure.
that? Zeke, you remember that shit, bro? I'm bringing that up right now because I remember Zeke looking at me going, nope. No, it wasn't Dolph Lundgren. That wasn't the first guy.
Yeah, I
Because
remember that, and you pulled it out.
I know the movie he's talking about. It is with Thomas Jane, which was back in about 2003 or 2004
Yeah.
is when he was there. But the original Punisher came out with Dolph Lundgren in about 93. Or no, shit, it was earlier than that. I want to think it was about 90. So when he was throwing that down, I was like, dude, Zeke was telling me, oh, I'll bet you $20. I bet you $20. No, there ain't no way the first Punisher movie was Dolph Lundgren. I was like, look it up, bro. Look it up. You really want to go toe to toe with me on comic stuff?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
fucking roll.
And
Let's roll.
LT1.
And who was right?
You were
Goddamn right. But
Is
my
there-
point with that too, though, is that I find very interesting because
I would-
maybe he did find his
I
inspiration.
would like to
from
find that comic and buy it and see what we can get out of it.
Dude, I bet that fucking so expensive. Those DVD.
I had a little
comics from back
detail
then.
error right there. The comic was actually is French, but it was very popular in Canada.
Interesting. Well, I mean, Canada is known for their language.
Oh yeah,
too, so-
they're obviously of the French descendants.
Right, but I just want to clarify.
No,
that.
that's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good.
I follow this girl on TikTok. She's from Canada. She's really hot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's
Nothing to
really
do with comic books, I bet, huh?
Very cool. What is it? What is it? Voulez-vous shave?
No.
Like,
Her name is
take me
American,
to
but she's
bed
from
or something
Canada.
like- all right, dude,
Anyways.
we went a long one on this one, but I appreciate. Let me say
Yeah.
this: I appreciate you coming out
Yeah.
and having all the all of this story,
Yeah.
kind of memorized and in your mind.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you saw, because I know this is your first time on here. That I may not know 100% what you're talking about, but I'm fairly well versed in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I grew up on DB Cooper.
Yeah.
Let me geek out for 2 seconds. When I was a little kid and I heard about DB Cooper,
1, 2.
I was like, all right, go again.
Keep going.
I thought it was really cool that he stole shit. I thought it was really cool that he stole shit and he got away.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
No, when I was a little kid, I really did. I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell? I didn't say, well, I want to do that. I just went,
That's
whoa,
cool.
What the hell? Like, really? This dude jumped out of a fucking plane?
Well, it's like all of us when we were kids and reading comics and all that stuff. You see Hulk and like, oh, I want to do that too. You know? Like,
right? Yeah, and you see that stuff, and then this goes to the whole thing. Dude, when I grew up, I'm going to ask a question, and I swear to God, if you guys don't answer this right, you're both fired. Have you guys seen Enter the Dragon?
what?
Enter the Dragon, yeah.
Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's not a long time ago in Mexico, but
I watched The Godfather. I watched all of
God,
those
dude.
movies.
Look. Enter the Dragon, one of the greatest martial arts films ever made.
it was really good.
Fearless is pretty good too.
Nah, Fearless is pretty good. But, dude, you're talking about the OG. Now, look, here's my point. I'm going to end with this real quick because I know we're way long. On
Yeah.
this.
Oh, yeah.
We're way long.
Our
No,
editor's
but-
going to look at the
but
video and like,
It's okay, though, because it goes to this. It goes to the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah.
somebody coming on that has a good story they want to talk about, and it's not all read from a phone. I like when people are prepared, and that means a lot to me. So I appreciate that. I'll have notes up.
wait,
every
what
once
are
in a
you
while.
saying? I have my notes on my phone.
I didn't say you.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Did I say you?
No. You're saying that you don't like it when people pull shit from the phone.
You're gonna
I pull my
fucking-
shit from the phone.
No, you're throwing this shit at me because
No, I pull my shit from the phone.
because I'm the white
Hey, guys.
dude. You're throwing this at me.
I got the boxing gloves in the car.
Let's fucking throw
Let's
it
fucking
out,
go.
bro. Let's do this.
Go.
Let's do this.
Fucking pulls out his gun. All right, no, you're doing.
Golden gloves, DC, baby. Let's roll. Let's do this.
Nah, he'll for
Let's
sure
do
knock
this.
me out.
No, but what I'm saying is, as I look at this and I just say, what an interesting story. Yeah, it may not necessarily be quote unquote paranormal, but unfortunately, there are people that relay a lot of paranormal to it to say, oh, well, there's no way he could have survived. And if he's still out there, it's his ghost and he's doing this. You get a lot of people saying that shit.
Well, and
that's out there. That's
kind of what I tell people before they come into the show is like, you don't have to really say anything paranormal. Like, doesn't have to be about paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Just
If
interesting.
you get an
mind
interesting
blowing.
story, go ahead and say it,
Yeah.
dude. Like, doesn't matter what it is.
And I think that's one of the cool things about what we do, because we have your background, we have my background, and no matter what it is, I didn't know what we were going to talk about till you sat down and started talking about it.
Yeah.
And then we went, now there are some things we need to be clear. There are some things we talk about that we have very much so we know this is what we're going to talk about on the show. This is the direction we want to go, and this is what we want to cover.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've done that because,
Yeah, for sure.
because there's stuff that we feel is necessary that we need to hit. But then there are times where we look at each other and we say, dude, I came up with something last night.
Yeah.
What
dude.
is it? Just shut up and wait. Shut up and
He
wait.
tends to do that a lot. He'll text me at 9 and be like, hey, dude, like, I got a topic for tomorrow. I'm like, okay, cool. What is it? He'll like, you'll see.
Just
I'm like,
wait.
God damn it.
Because that's the whole point,
Yeah.
right? Is there's the part of the organic thing with you talking about this. Now, I knew you were going to talk about D.B. Cooper. I didn't know how in depth you were going to go. So once again, I sincerely appreciate how in depth you went and how seriously you took this, because it's one thing for you to sit there and describe everything. It's another thing for somebody to sit there and go, D.B. Cooper, 1971, walked into plane, talked to stewardess, handed note. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know somebody like that.
I know, right? If you could get him to do anything. Not Zeke. Not
Yeah.
Zeke.
If he
Not Zeke.
If you can get him to do something,
No,
yeah.
not Zeke. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. All right. So,
man.
but no. I think it's super cool to come in and to give your spin on things, and then
And it's funny because since yesterday, in the afternoon when I got home, he was telling me about it, and I was like, okay, cool. Then do your little investigation on it.
Yeah.
Read about it, make some notes, and we'll talk about it tomorrow on the show. And then all day yesterday and today, he chewed my ear out with
just
this
kept
shit.
saying, "Oh, I got this, I got this, I got
And
this."
I was like, I know.
You're
Like, okay, cool. Like,
You're like, bro, quit fucking texting me. We'll talk about it mañana.
Yeah, I was like, dude, just chill. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. This morning, as I'm making breakfast, he's like, dude, I got this. I'm like, dude.
We'll talk about it today.
Yeah, like, don't worry about it.
Well,
He was ready to go. At 10 o'clock, he was ready to go. I was like,
good.
I'm just up early.
No, it's good. It's good, man. So what is the overall consensus then that you drew from it?
What I drew from it,
Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he...
He's dead. Think? He is definitely dead, because if he were alive today, he'd be about 9. I think he'd be around like in his 70s or 80s.
I was going to say upper 70s, lower 80s.
Yeah, because I've seen other like...
He was probably close to the age of my dad. And my mom, I think now is like 81.
Going back to that comic, I'm really thinking he was a boy when that comic came out. And he was in his mid-20s.
And that was what?
20 years later.
What year was he born?
50.
Well, when the comic came out in the 50s,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, comic came out in 51. Nobody knows what year he was born because nobody knows who he is.
That's right. Yeah. So maybe if he read that, I mean...
Let's look at Robert Rackstraw real quick.
My dad was born in 39 and passed away in 2017.
My dad was born in 1946.
So he was almost 80, right?
My dad is almost 80.
My mom's born in 41.
So probably he was born in those years. I mean... Because if he saw that comic, and that comic was out like in the 50s.
So he was probably born in the 40s.
So he was probably born in the 50s.
65.
Is when you think he was born?
Yeah.
I think he was born in the 50s.
I don't know, dude. Man, my brother was born in 68, man. He's only 3 years older than me. And for this guy to only be 3 years older, he'd only be 56
right now. I honestly think he was born in the 40s.
He had to have been.
Yeah, like 1939, 30 years to 40s.
15 when he started seeing those comics.
Yeah.
Well, I just have a very strong feeling that those comics had to come out when he was a boy.
If he was like 10, 15, like do the math. Think about it, like 50 and then start backtracking. I mean, you can easily get the year that he was born. You know?
And that's what I'm saying is I look at those facts and I look at me when I started collecting comics as like a sophomore in high school.
Yeah. So
16, 17, right? And those comics had a huge impact on me. I'm talking the original Wolverine series, like Pitt from Image Comics, Spawn from Image Comics, X-Men back when they rebranded in 93. I mean, all of those, I start looking at all those and I say, that was about my age, maybe 18,
by any
19.
Chance,
but then this guy, if he's that age and he's seeing these DB Coopers from 10 years earlier, that makes sense to me because that's going to kind of shape him.
By any chance, do you remember if back in the day, because I heard about it.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, you guys are right. So the guy I think is actually DB Cooper, Robert Rackstraw, 76 years old, died 2019, born in October 16, 1943.
Now
there you go.
I believe. Now that one I tend to more to go, okay, but 65 I'm going
I think he was like 10 years old or somewhere around there because from 43
when the
to
comics
50.
Came out, exactly.
So by any chance, do you remember, since you're more into comics, do you remember when there was that mashup between Marvel and DC where they were both combining their shit?
Dude, that was a very small, kind of weird run, though.
Yeah, that I still.
Yeah, I heard about it. I'd heard about it, never read it, but
yeah, they never really did a huge crossover with it because there were too many egos with it. And then I'm sure people are going to jump at me out there and say I'm wrong.
Honestly,
for the way I'm saying it, but it was you have too many intellectual properties within each place. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But I do remember
who from Marvel is going to fight Superman?
Batman.
Oh,
that's DC.
I know.
So that's no.
I know.
I'm saying who from Marvel is going to fight him? I mean,
yeah.
You start looking at the whole thing and what Dr. Manhattan. He's also DC / kind of a subcategory, which is the Watchmen. But you look at that and you just go, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just want to
comic booky geek.
No, I just want to go ahead and end the episode already because it's way.
Yeah. Go.
Thank you for being here, like always. Thank you for having me, LT.
Thanks for being here.
Where can they send those mail to?
paranormalafterhours@gmail.com. Send us any emails, anything that you want to say. If you want to say how ugly I am or how handsome Rod is or how handsome our guest was and how intelligent he was.
Single and ready to mingle.
Then, dude, do not say that. You're going to get him in trouble.
It's okay. I know that girl.
I'm single, not even close, ready to mingle. Because
he's ready to mingle.
No, I have zero doubt. I have zero desire to mingle. I am so good just hanging and chilling by myself, bro. Look at me. Look at me. Do I look like I'm trying to impress anybody?
Oh, man.
No.
Come on. No.
He's like, nah. He was like, nah.
Dude, you know what? Deleted. You're fucking seen.
Oh, shit. I think we lost the video.
Son of a bitch, man.
I think we lost the files for that video.
Who the hell does he think he is?
I don't know, dude. He's
Coming in throwing shade at me right from the get-go.
I'm telling you, dude. This kids nowadays.
What the fuck?
Kids. You're
Anyways.
like a year and 3 months older
I
than me.
rely on you for my light work.
Light work. Are you kidding me?
Right? Like, come on now. Brother man. All right.
He wants more. Don't give me more, though. Like, just you guys. Before we end the episode.
I don't mean light work as far as that goes.
But
I'm
anyways.
just saying, brother man.
Guys, go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube as PSS After Hours. Like I said, you can just send an email to where he said earlier.
paranormalafterhours@gmail.com.
Leave a comment on Facebook if you're watching us on Facebook. Leave a comment on Facebook if you're watching us on YouTube. Leave your comments. And we're just gonna end this with LT and Josh taking a shot.
I sincerely appreciate you coming out and being prepared and doing what it is that you needed to do.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna do this, and then because I'm old, I'm gonna have to chase it with some Coke here in a second.
Anyways, guys, remember this PSS After Hours. You want to say your little
I
line?
hate you.
You want to say your signature lines before I say mine?
Of course. Hey, everybody out there for PSS After Hours, LTG, Rod, Josh signing off. We just want to say, as always, remember, be safe, keep your powder dry, watch your six. Actually, I screwed that order up. It's be safe, watch your six, and keep your powder dry. Damn, what's wrong with me? It's the shot I had to take.
Yeah.
And other than that, always remember, everybody that's out there, always remember one thing with PSS After Hours, things are what, Rod?
Things are going to get a little weird.
Yes, they are. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be coming back at you. Thanks, everybody.